In a world obsessed with appearances and social approval, few statements cut deeper than the piercing observation attributed to the ancient Cynic philosopher Diogenes. You are surrounded by idiots disguised as good people. At first glance, it may seem like a harsh, even arrogant declaration, but look closer and you'll find a timeless warning. A philosophical X-ray that strips away the layers of performance, virtue signaling, and false humility that infect our social lives. This isn't just about calling people stupid. It's about exposing the comfortable ignorance and moral cowardice that often wear the mask of kindness. Diogenes wasn't attacking intelligence in the academic sense. He was indicting the masses for their unthinking conformity, their lack of self-awareness, and their refusal to examine the truth of their own character. In his eyes, the real idiot wasn't the man who lacked knowledge. It was the man who thought he was good because everyone around him agreed he was. Diogenes of Sinope was born in the ancient Greek city of Sinope, modern-day Turkey. He is considered one of the founders of Cynicism, a school of philosophy that rejected materialism, social status, and societal norms in favor of living in alignment with nature, truth, and virtue. But Diogenes didn't just teach philosophy. He lived it with an intensity that bordered on madness in the eyes of his peers. After being exiled from his hometown for defacing currency, literally and metaphorically, Diogenes arrived in Athens with nothing. He lived in a large ceramic jar, begged for food, owned nothing, and walked the streets by day with a lantern, claiming he was looking for an honest man. He mocked Plato, rejected luxury, and publicly criticized Alexander the Great. His weapon? Brutal honesty. Diogenes believed that social conventions were a lie, that people were trapped in habits, rules, and fake morality. He used shocking behavior, sharp wit, and radical simplicity to expose the hypocrisies of the powerful and the foolishness of the masses. He didn't want followers. He wanted people to wake up. When Alexander the Great once offered to grant him any wish, Diogenes famously replied, "Yes, stand out of my sunlight." That one statement captures the essence of who Diogenes was. A man who bowed to no one, feared nothing, and spoke only what was true, even if the world called him mad for it. So when Diogenes says you are surrounded by idiots disguised as good people, he's not being cruel, he's being honest. And if that honesty stings, it's because some part of it is true. 1. The theater of goodness. Modern society doesn't reward virtue. It rewards the performance of virtue. Welcome to the theater of goodness, where image trumps integrity and applause replaces actual morality. In this performance, the actors are everywhere. On social media, in politics, in corporate offices, in religious circles, even in your own friend group. They smile with practiced warmth, speak with borrowed empathy, and master the art of being good in public, while doing very little good in private. In this theater, kindness is currency, not an act of compassion, but a means of buying approval. People post about mental health, but never sit with someone who's breaking. They repost justice campaigns, but exploit their own coworkers. They celebrate authenticity as long as it's filtered, palatable, and doesn't threaten their brand. Their goodness is skin deep, like makeup hiding a rotting wound. What makes it worse is that this illusion is rewarded. The more someone conforms to the script, the polite smiles, the Instagram charity posts, the right buzzwords, the more they're seen as good. Not because they are good, but because they've mastered the language of goodness. They speak it fluently without ever living it. They fear real confrontation because real morality is uncomfortable. They avoid hard truths because hard truths are offensive. They silence dissent because they have confused emotional discomfort with danger. And yet these are the people who walk confidently through life, believing they are the light in the world, while unknowingly casting shadows everywhere they go. This is the idiot Diogenes warns us about. Not the fool who knows nothing, but the fool who believes he knows everything he needs to, simply because he's been praised for his performance. He's not malicious, and that's precisely what makes him dangerous. He's friendly, charming, well-spoken. He's the person everyone wants to be around. But his goodness has never been tested. His principles have never been put under fire. He has never stood alone against the crowd, never sacrificed popularity for integrity, never asked himself, am I good or do I just look like it? He avoids discomfort like the plague. He fears truth, not because it is false, but because it is too real, too sharp, too capable of cracking the mirror he has spent his entire life polishing. This is the man who claps for justice in the town square, but ignores the injustice in his own home. This is the woman who speaks against cruelty online, but is a tyrant to her children behind closed doors. This is the modern moral idiot, not stupid, not evil, but asleep, drunk on praise, numb to truth, worshiping the shadow of goodness while fearing the substance of it. In the end, they are not bad people. They are worse than that. They are empty people who think they're full. And unless you learn to see through the theater, to feel the hollowness behind the performance, you will be applauding actors while starving for real morality. So the next time someone seems good, ask yourself, do they live it when no one's watching? Or are they just playing their part on the stage of fools? 2. The fear of thinking. Diogenes didn't despise people for being uneducated. He despised them for refusing to think. In his eyes, the greatest plague wasn't ignorance. It was willful stupidity, a blindness not caused by lack of information, but by a refusal to question, to confront, to break free from the herd. Today, that plague is everywhere. Modern life discourages original thought. Schools teach obedience, not inquiry. Social media rewards conformity, not wisdom. Religion, politics, and even entertainment are increasingly tribal. You pick a side, memorize the talking points, and chant them louder than the other side. You don't need to think. You just need to agree. We live in a culture where asking the wrong question is more dangerous than believing the wrong answer, where silence is demanded from the wise, and microphones are handed to those who parrot what's popular. And anyone who dares to think differently, to challenge the narrative, to say why, is labeled toxic, difficult, problematic, or worse. This is not progress. This is mental cowardice dressed as morality. The truth: most people aren't good, they're obedient. Most people don't think, they recycle. They believe what keeps them comfortable. They say what keeps them accepted. They fear discomfort more than ignorance. And that fear, that refusal to confront reality, is what Diogenes called idiocy. Because when a person builds their identity around social approval, truth becomes a threat. The mind stops being a tool for discovery and becomes a shield, a device to protect one's ego from reality. That's why so many good people stay silent in the face of wrong. That's why they excuse injustice with platitudes like, "It's not my place," or "Let's not make things complicated." But it's already complicated, and they are part of the complication because they keep pretending it's not. You see, when Diogenes walked through the streets of Athens holding a lantern in broad daylight saying, "I'm looking for an honest man," it wasn't just performance art, it was a test, a provocation. He was shining a light on a society full of intelligent fools, people who could debate ethics all day long, but refused to live ethically. People who could recite Plato's philosophy, but had no courage to challenge the emptiness of their own lives. In many ways, the modern world has become an upgraded version of that same Athens. We don't walk in togas anymore, but we still worship reputation over truth. We don't live in city-states, but we still form tribes of unthinking loyalty. We don't burn heretics, but we cancel them. We don't wear masks made of bronze, but we wear social masks made of fear, pretense, and shallow morality. And Diogenes would call us out for it, not with polite essays, but with ruthless clarity. He would spit in our faces, not because he hates us, but because he wants to wake us up. So ask yourself, when was the last time you changed your mind? Not because you were forced, but because you thought deeply. When was the last time you did what was right, knowing it would cost you your comfort? When was the last time you rejected applause and chose truth instead? If you can't remember, then maybe the idiot Diogenes warned us about is not just around you. Maybe he's also inside you. You might ask, so what? Why should it matter if people are pretending to be good, if they're not hurting anyone? But that's exactly the problem. They are hurting someone. They're hurting you. They're hurting truth. And worst of all, they're killing courage in the name of comfort. A society that rewards performance over principle does not just create shallow people, it creates a dangerous illusion of morality. It trains entire generations to believe that doing the right thing is less important than looking good while doing nothing. And when that becomes the standard, truth dies in silence. The real danger is not the outright liar. It's the quiet coward who knows the truth, but says nothing. The danger is not the open hypocrite. It's the soft-spoken friend who watches betrayal and injustice happen and just shrugs, saying, "It's not my place to get involved. I don't want to cause drama. I'm staying out of it." They tell themselves they're neutral, but neutrality in the face of wrong is not virtue. It is silent betrayal. This matters because the world is not broken by villains. It is broken by good people who are too afraid to stop them. It is good HR managers who stay quiet when their boss bullies employees. It is good pastors who smile while their congregants suffer under corrupt leadership. It is good citizens who whisper, "That's not right," but never raise their voices. It is good friends who know you're drowning, but don't want to get wet saving you. This is why Diogenes raised hell. This is why he lived in filth, mocked the powerful, spat on customs, and stripped himself of comfort. Because he knew comfort is the enemy of clarity, and praise is the drug that dulls the moral senses. When everyone is pretending to be good, no one is willing to confront evil, because doing so would threaten the costume party, and nobody wants to be the one to turn on the lights. But Diogenes wanted the lights on. He wanted to break the stage, tear the curtains down, and expose the theater of pretense for what it is. Because once you realize that most good people are just afraid, selfish, or asleep, something happens to you. You stop idolizing appearances. You stop chasing approval. You stop being manipulated by polite people with fake intentions. And most importantly, You stop lying to yourself. That's why this matters. Because when you see the truth, even if it's ugly, even if it's lonely, you become the one thing this world truly lacks. A human being who is not just seen as good, but actually is. How to see through the disguise. Most people won't admit it, but they live in fear of being disliked. So they trade their truth for politeness, their values for comfort, their instincts for approval, and they become part of the illusion. But Diogenes didn't live to be liked. He lived to see clearly. He didn't care who hated him. He cared who was real. And that's exactly what you need to do if you want to survive this world of well-dressed lies. You need to see through the disguise, not with paranoia, not with bitterness, but with precision. Here's how to recognize an idiot disguised as a good person. 1. They avoid hard conversations. They'll talk about kindness all day, until it's time to tell a friend the truth. They fear confrontation because they fear discomfort, so they stay quiet when they should speak and smile when they should object. 2. They mirror whatever group they're in. Around spiritual people, they're holy. Around intellectuals, they're deep. Around rebels, they're wild. But it's not growth. It's shape-shifting for survival. They're not evolving. They're erasing themselves just to be accepted. 3. They speak more about their image than their values. They'll tell you what they stand against, not what they stand for. They'll show you who claps for them, not who they would die for. They want to be admired, not trusted. 4. They offer empathy publicly, but act selfishly in private. They repost mental health infographics, but mock their friends' depression. They say be kind online, but gossip about people who trust them. They believe morality is about appearances, not sacrifice. 5. They never question the system, only those who challenge it. They won't ask if a rule is wrong. They'll ask why you're causing trouble. They believe that following the crowd is the same as doing the right thing. And finally, 6. They get uncomfortable when you think for yourself. They'll tell you you've changed, not because you've become worse, but because you've stopped needing their approval. They see your independence as an insult. They want you to stay small so they can stay comfortable. Diogenes knew that once you learn to see these traits, you become a threat. Not because you're violent, but because you can't be lied to. You don't follow charm. You don't worship status. You don't bow to fake smiles. You start moving differently. You listen more. You observe more. You trust slowly, but see deeply. And that is the beginning of real strength. Not the power to dominate others, but the power to discern who they really are. Diogenes didn't come to comfort the world. He came to expose it. He came to rip the mask off society and show you what lies beneath the surface, smiles and soft words. Cowardice, conformity, confusion. And the most dangerous part? The cowards believe they're brave. The conformists believe they're wise. The confused believe they're good. You are not surrounded by evil people. That would be easy to fight. You are surrounded by idiots, people who smile while they betray you, agree while they mislead you, and praise you while they hope you stay small. They don't want you to think. They don't want you to grow. They don't want you to wake up. Because if you do, you'll stop clapping. You'll stop complying. You'll stop pretending. And that would shatter their entire performance. Let others perform. Let others beg for likes. Let others decorate their chains. Not you. Be the one who tells the truth, even if it makes the room uncomfortable. Be the one who walks away from fake friends and never looks back. Be the one who thinks so deeply, they start calling you dangerous. Be the one who doesn't just seem good, but is good, even when no one's watching. Because in a world addicted to applause, the real rebel is the one who walks off the stage. Don't live to be liked. Live to be real. Live to be awake. Live to be free. The performance is over. Now choose your side.